a very good evening to each and every one of you. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Biden BFF Facebook page, YouTube page, and everywhere else you find us here on social media. My name is Chris Wills, and joining me tonight is that man who our intro introduced, all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, where the Governor Kemp has decided to open up the state, defying the pandemic and putting people in harm's way. So hopefully our guest is staying safe, along with all the people of Georgia and everyone across the country staying safe at home. And he's joining us from his home. And please give a very warm welcome to Mr. Mike Luckovich. How are you doing tonight?
Hi,
How
Chris.
are you in Georgia?
It's great. I actually went out and had my nails done today.
Because we're back. We all need that.
Oh, man. Is that not silly or what?
It is absolutely ridiculous, opening up the massage parlors and all that craziness. No way to social distance there, and literally putting people in harm's way. Just totally defying even Donald Trump realizing that's not the way to go.
But you know what? Trump had actually called him earlier and said, hey, great job. And then some of the scientists that are trying to advise Trump said, hey, we're not on board with that. So he changed his mind. Trump will throw anyone under the bus. And so I actually did 2 cartoons this week on our governor, because he comes out looking, he's a fool, and he proved it this week. And so, you know, if people want to go to see my cartoons, I'm on Twitter. You can look me up, Mike Luckovich, and you can see the cartoons that I've done this week on our idiot governor.
For sure. Our opening had all your social media, and we're going to be sharing that over the course of the night. That's up there. You guys can follow him on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, you can see all his amazing work on these political cartoons. And what we're going to be doing with these broadcasts, as we've been trying to reach out to people across the country in this really difficult time in the midst of this pandemic, is trying to remind people it's not easy to talk to voters in this most important election that we've got ahead of us, but we got to do it. We got to find a way to get the message out. And creative minds like Mike's help us do that in really great ways, because it kind of cuts through the noise. It helps voters have a little bit of a laugh in a moment of real seriousness. They kind of need that humor, and helps them to understand the seriousness of the issues that we're facing. Those of you that are tuning in right now, you can send us any questions that you have for Mike. If they're good questions, they got to be good. We will put them up on the screen, and we'll be happy to ask Mike. But we also have a live poll going on right now. For those of you that are watching on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, sorry, YouTube doesn't give us the ability to do this, but Facebook lets us do a live poll that is live right now. And it's a real simple question. We're asking, how will Donald Trump say bye to the White House? Two possible answers. Either he'll respect the traditional peaceful transition of power, or we'll have to drag Don out kicking and screaming. You let us know. You vote on the poll, and we'll be reporting on those results over the course of the evening, and we'll have a great conversation with Mike. So, Mike, I wanted to start off and give you the opportunity to let us know, how did you get into doing political cartoons, and over the years, what impact have you seen that they could have on an election such as the one that's before us on November 3rd?
Yeah, you know, I as a kid, I always drew cartoons. I love drawing, and I went to a couple of different Catholic high schools, and the first thing I would do when I would go to a new school was I would start drawing the nuns and the priests and you know, who are teaching courses, and so I just loved doing that, but I never thought I could actually get a job doing it. I went to the University of Washington in Seattle, and I was like a junior, and I told my girlfriend, now wife, I said, you know, maybe I'll be a social worker or something, because I just didn't think it would be possible to actually become an editorial cartoonist. but then I realized, that's really the only talent that I have. And so it took me a while. I sold life insurance for a couple of years in Seattle, but I eventually got hired, and I've been. I was at a couple of jobs, and then went to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. And I think in May it was like last May it was like 30 years I've been at the AJC, and this last couple months have been the first 2 months that I haven't worked at the newspaper. I'm in a bedroom right now, but I every day I love coming in and wondering what I'm going to do and reading the news, and I spend, I get in and I fart around for most of the day procrastinating, and then as it gets close to my deadline, I start to panic, and then that's what helps me come up with my ideas. So I usually get the drawing done right at deadline, and I don't, when I draw, I don't pencil anything in first. I just ink. I go through a lot of whiteout. Usually at the end of a day, I've got whiteout all over my fingers, but I draw very quickly, and I've been doing this for a long time, but I still really love it. And right now it's, with Trump in office, it's actually been a little difficult because Trump is, Trump's nuts. And Trump is like the guy at the end of the bar who's constantly shouting some nonsense. And it may be different nonsense each day, but it's all absurd. So it's hard to, with an editorial cartoon, you have to kind of, when a politician does or says something silly or wrong, you kind of increase the absurdity in the cartoon to kind of show what's happening. But with Trump, it's actually difficult. I mean, for a guy that's advocating, ingesting bleach
Right.
to be coronavirus, I mean, that's tough to. It's made being a cartoonist difficult. But I'm trying to rise to the challenge and do cartoons on the craziness.
Well, you are quite talented. We're seeing on the screen right now one of your great cartoons from some time ago, Putin riding Donald Trump as a horse.
Oh, okay.
So, pretty creative stuff. And one of the reasons that I wanted to invite you to join us tonight is that a couple of weeks back, I started seeing an image that was, pardon the word, right now in the middle of a pandemic crisis, but was going viral. I was seeing a bunch of people sharing this image of a Democratic bumper sticker, and
right.
it had the Biden logo on it, but it was, you take one glance at it and say, wait a second, that's Biden's name misspelled, and it says BYEDON, BYEDON, and it clicked. It took me a second to click, and I was like, "Oh, that is super clever and creative." And there it is, the BYEDON logo that's now gone completely viral. So, what inspired you to do that image and create that? What I think a lot of people are going to have on their back windshield or bumper over the course of this campaign.
Yeah. Okay. So this was after Super Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
And it became apparent that he was going to be the nominee after Super Tuesday. He won that so convincingly. And so I went to bed and I fell asleep. And around 3 o'clock, I woke up and I just started thinking about, Biden and it just hit me. I thought BYEDON. And so as soon as I thought about that, it was hard for me to go back to sleep. I actually had to have a glass of wine because I was so excited. But then I got up early the next morning because I thought, oh, someone else is going to come up with this. So I drew it out as quickly as I could and posted it. And then it ran in the paper. And then within a day or two, I started getting people contacting me about, can we, work with you to make bumper stickers and things like that. And I thought, oh, that'd be cool. So anyway, I'm working with a group of people. If you go to BYEDON, BYEDON.store, They have all kinds of things available. They have magnets, they have bumper stickers, they have yard signs, they have T-shirts. They even have masks, that you can wear that says BYEDON on them. So it's been really kind of a fun thing, and it's been great for me because I feel like I'm part of the I'm working hard to make sure that Trump is no longer going to be our president.
Yes.
And I would love to see, Biden as president. I think that he would be a great president. I think that he would, his cabinet and his vice presidential picks are going to be smart people.
Yeah.
They're going to be non-corrupt people.
Right.
It's going to be such a breath of fresh air from what we have now, to have actually competent, caring people running our government again. And, I think about, if Hillary had been president during this pandemic, she wouldn't have ignored it for 2 months. She would have gotten on it. She would have flattened that curve, and we would be more like South Korea, where we're opening back up safely because we've lowered the rate of infection so much, and we missed that opportunity. And now we're like the top country in the world for coronavirus cases because we have a mentally ill doofus as our president. And to have Biden, who has such empathy for other people. He's lived a long life where he's had to deal with some loss, some terrible loss in his life, and he can empathize. And he was, in January, he was talking about this virus and the what it posed for the world and for the United States. And why he was talking about that and realizing it, Trump was downplaying it and was getting pissed off at advisors who were even talking to him about it. So we need someone who is smart and not insane to be our president.
Hey, that's pretty a low bar, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And the great thing is that we're going to get somebody even better than that low bar in Joe Biden. Like most people have said, it really didn't matter who won the Democratic nomination, right? They were going to be 20 million times better. Because as you were saying before we got on this live broadcast, that any of the Democratic nominees, and certainly Joe Biden, is not going to encourage people to inject some kind of detergent or disinfectant into their bodies. They're not going to urge people to go out and put their lives in danger in the middle of a pandemic by going out to protest. They're not going to encourage insurrection. Like, we're going to get back to sanity and actually, I think, build the best America yet. Yeah.
Well, Chris, I do have to admit that I did have a Lysol bleach cocktail before coming on, and I feel fabulous. So I don't have to worry about the coronavirus.
I was thinking, why say that last night? And it dawned on me, there were a bunch of states that were opening up today. So he had to give people that were his supporters that were worried about going out, something to inoculate themselves. And I really, really hope that if you're watching this, you did not listen. If you did not listen to anything Trump said, do not listen to that.
Well, some guy died for ingesting a fish cleaner that was hydrochloroquine related. Mm-hmm. So, people that listen to him, there are some people.
Of course, he's the president.
Yeah, and they respect him, I guess, and they're going to do that. I just hope not too many people to decide, let's pour a little bleach in a syringe and give myself an injection of that.
Please don't. And don't let anybody that you love do it either. Wanted to share one of the comments from somebody I know and love, actually, who's out there watching and helping us share the message. Daniela is watching on Facebook, and she says she's definitely getting a BYEDON mask. So,
good.
Where can you get those masks? We'll put up the website here real quick for you guys. It's BYEDON store. BYEDON store.
Yes. And
so
it's been, like I said, it's been really fun to, as a cartoonist, it's just fun in general to be able to feel like you're getting your point out out there every day. But then there are times when you have something like that happen where someone wants to do a bumper sticker or something.
Right.
I had a couple years ago when Jimmy Carter had brain cancer. I did a cartoon. I drew this couple that I always draw. The woman's taller and the guy's short, and they're pounding a campaign sign in their front yard, and it said, something like Carter for Cancer Survivor or something. It was a campaign sign, and so I did that, and then someone in Plains, Georgia, contacted me, and Jimmy Carter was being treated at Emory, and so when he was coming back to Plains, the person who contacted me had 500 of these campaign signs, Carter for Cancer Survivor, printed up, and then all along the main street in Plains, they had put these signs up. So as Carter and Mrs. Carter drove in, that's what they saw, all those signs. And it was really neat because President Carter got out of his car, he took a picture of the rows of signs, and he actually wrote me a beautiful letter and sent me a picture of that. So I have that hanging on a wall. It's kind of neat.
Awesome. And you were telling me that you've actually met Joe Biden. So
yes,
you definitely call yourself a friend of Joe Biden, maybe a BFF.
Yeah, that's right. Because you know what? Here's the thing about Biden, and we had never met before. We were both heading in. This was before he was vice president, and it was to one of those White House Correspondents' dinners. And we were both walking in. I was walking in by myself, and Biden was walking in, and we were next to each other. And I told him hi and told him who I was. I don't remember our exact conversation, but what I remember about Biden was that he was so unassuming. He was so nice. And the Joe Biden that you see on TV relating to people, that's the real Joe Biden. He had no reason to be nice to me, but he was. And it was like he wasn't looking, there were all kinds of interesting, important people walking into this dinner, but he wasn't looking over my shoulder to see who he could speak with. He was talking to me face to face. And it was great. And that really impressed me, because I've talked to so many other politicians or other powerful people who don't seem to really be in the moment with you. And he really was. And that really impressed me. And I think that is something about him that he's always been that way. And I think that as Americans, we've got to know him well as a vice president. But in this campaign, I know it's going to be difficult because of the virus. But he has that ability to connect, and I think that's going to be a very powerful thing, especially in contrast to Trump.
For sure. I want to put up real quick the where we're at with the poll. It's very interesting where this is going. So, how will Donald Trump say bye? So we're saying bye, Don, but how will Donald Trump say bye to the White House? Right now, of our viewers, 10% think that he'll respect the traditional peaceful transition of power, but 90% of our viewers think that we'll have to drag Don out kicking and screaming. So you can vote in the poll if you're watching on Facebook.
Well, and even Joe Biden said that. I think today he said something like that he didn't see Trump leaving voluntarily. But Trump is also a wimp. And I think that, he's done a lot to weaken America's institutions. But if he loses the race, he ain't staying in there. And he will be dragged out. And that's fine with me. But he does not want to leave because he's going to face charges when he's out of office. So who knows how this show is going to end?
Absolutely, it's we got to make sure that we win decisively and convincingly on November 3rd, so that there's no questions and no ability for him to point out fraud or anything. Mike, I wanted to ask you. You know, you've been doing this a long time. This political cartooning. What election cycle has provided you the most interesting material, if you will, to draw out and create art with?
Well, you know, I said earlier that you know, drawing Trump, because he's sort of the same person. He's saying different crazy things, but it's all the same. But he's also so attacked our body politic, and he is so different from any other presidential president we've ever had. I mean, George W. Bush wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, but he was still, there was a, and Iraq was totally wrong, but he wasn't to me, he was misguided, but he wasn't nuts or evil. And so this guy, I think this is the most, I think this has been the most interesting thing for me, because our lives depend on getting rid of Trump. Yeah, in the past, you know, whether a Democrat was elected or a Republican was elected, I always felt very strongly who should win. But I think a lot of people just felt like America was sort of like on automatic pilot. That, you know, you were going to be okay. You might be disappointed by whomever won, but the country would still kind of go forward and be okay. But I hope that people who sat on their butt and didn't vote this last time out now realize that you got to get out there and you got to cast your vote, and you got to show, you know, that we're not gonna put up with some freak anymore. And hopefully we will learn our lesson from this ugliness, and as you said earlier, we will emerge with Biden a better country for it. This, I don't know where what's going to happen with the virus, but it's going to really upset the apple cart of Washington, and I hope it's going to be for the better. I hope it's going to show that people. I hope it will show Americans that we need government, that we need good government. The Republican mantra has always been, you know, the less government, the government's always wrong. Well, that's just BS. You know, we need competent government.
That's true now.
And yeah, so if we can, that's what I, every day, especially right now, I make it my mission to try and show what's happening. And you know, it's in a way, it's sort of painful to have to be up on the news all the time, because it's so depressing. And I get people all the time that tell me, you know, through social media, that, you know, they really appreciate what I'm doing, because it gives them, even though I'm making points, I try and do it with some humor, and it's a relief for them in a way. And so I really feel like I have a vocation, and I'm really trying to show just how bad this guy is. I mean, it may be redundant, because he seems to be showing how bad he is just daily, and but you know, some people still support him, and it's just amazing to me. But it shows you, I'm sort of on a rant here, but it shows you that in societies, there's like 30% of people that kind of like incompetent authoritarianism. And you know, you look at, and this is a different case, of course, but Hitler, his rise, you know, there was like 30% of the population that thought they were down with what he was doing. So it's weird. People are weird. I don't understand people. I don't understand how people can support this guy. I've got an uncle who's a very smart man, very, very good at business. And he and I used to argue about politics, and he was just, he was so upset at Hillary for her emails, because he had been taught that through propaganda through Fox News, and it's just amazing to me that this guy who is so smart could be so easily manipulated, and that's what's happened to a portion of our country. And I'm hoping that Trump's suggestion to take in bleach, hopefully, stuff like that is going to, people are going to start, even people that support him. You can't be that stupid. You got to start thinking, okay, maybe this guy isn't all that.
I hope we're starting to get to the point where I would love, honestly, nothing more than November 3rd, that from coast to coast, it's just a map of blue, right? Like, in all honesty, it's what Joe Biden deserves, but more importantly, it's what Donald Trump deserves, right? To literally have a definitive repudiation of Trump and Trumpism on November 3rd. That would be a huge, huge thing.
Well, and you look at what oh, I'm sorry.
No, I interrupted you.
Oh, no. You look at what happened in Wisconsin a couple of weeks ago,
right,
during that special election, where the state and then the Supreme Court said, okay, you have to vote in person during the virus. But you know what? Those people went out and they voted, and they put in a Democratic Supreme Court, a Democrat in the Supreme Court that wasn't. It did. The Republicans thought they had rigged that election. They were willing to put their lives on the line to vote. I think that's what's going to happen in November, because people are tired of this assault on democracy and on competence and on just being decent human beings. This isn't what America's about, and that's why we all got to be behind Joe Biden. Now, Chris, your face is frozen. So I must have totally knocked you out with what I just said there.
That's okay, no problem. You knocked my socks off. But everything looks good. But yeah, it's I think we hopefully are at a turning point here, and we need definitely to knock some sense into people to make sure that November 3rd we send that resounding message. As we kind of bring everything together, the reason that we're doing these broadcasts is to remind people that it's really difficult to campaign in the middle of a pandemic.
Right.
You can't go knock on people's doors, even calling people and texting people, hey, vote for Joe Biden. People are thinking about their loved ones that are in the hospital, how to put food on the table. If they've lost their job, they're concerned about that. But
right.
All of us have a little bit of creativity. Some of us, like you, have a lot of creativity, and we can use that creativity to help spread the right messages, help Joe Biden get the message out, and help kind of cut through all the noise. So,
right.
How important do you think your work will be? I mean, you just posted a really good political cartoon this week. In addition to the BYEDON bumper sticker, I wanted to share this. The Rome is burning behind Nero, and Nero talking about his ratings. So
yes.
How do you think that something like that and the work that you do at your newspaper can really help to focus people on the facts and the important things that they need to be considering in this election?
That's a really good question. I'm not sure what impact I have. I know that the United States is so separated into by tribalism that it's hard to, even using facts or even showing what's going on, some people just don't want to understand. But I think that with a cartoon, if it's a good cartoon, in a simple way, you can kind of show what's happening and make it apparent for like the Nero cartoon that you just showed, where he is really interested in what his ratings are as Rome burns. I think maybe with cartoons like that, maybe independent voters, maybe people that haven't been paying a lot of attention, after listening to Trump and then seeing things like that, it's going to help them kind of, maybe have an understanding of what's happening. But I don't really know. I do know that for people that already kind of believe the way I do, they find it, as I said earlier, it's comforting for them to know that there are other people in a red state like Georgia who are out there trying to get the word out about what's happening.
Yeah, you are already doing that in an awesome way with the non art and all the. You do it once a week, is that right? You typically do an art piece once a week?
No, I do 5 a week.
5 a week. Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. No, this is my full-time job. So I do. I don't draw a cartoon on Monday or Saturday.
Okay.
But I'm in the AJC all the rest of the days. So the Nero cartoon that you showed, that'll be in Sunday's print edition of the AJC. But yeah. So I post those on social media like Twitter and Facebook earlier. Yeah. So people that are tuning in could go and can check me out on those things.
And this is where they can do that. You've got his Facebook link, Twitter link, and Instagram link, and we'll make sure to include those in the comment section of this video as well on both Facebook and YouTube. And we want to put up artwork that you did earlier on about showing the creativity of the message of BYEDON, which is awesome. Very cool. And you guys, again, we shared it earlier. You all can get all the BYEDON merch at BYEDON.store, www.byedon.store. Before we go, I just want to thank you very, very much, and I really appreciate you taking the time in the middle of a pandemic crisis to come on. Are you eager to see what the final results of the poll were?
Yeah.
All right, let's see where the final results of the poll. Oh, it went up. So we're now down to 1% of our viewership thinks that Donald Trump will say bye to the White House in a peaceful transition of power, and 99% think that we're going to have to drag him out kicking and screaming.
Yeah,
but
I think that's
Mike said we'll get him out one way or another.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, Chris, it was a pleasure being on with you, and thank you all for watching this evening. And check out my cartoons and go to BYEDON.store. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mike. And stay safe. We'll stay in touch between now and November. Hopefully we can have you on again.
That would be perfect. I'd love it. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you. And thanks all for watching. We'll catch you next Friday night. Bye-bye.